You think you're buying in Atlanta, but you're stuck. Do you go in town where everything's walkable and close to the energy? Or do you go suburbs where you get more space for the same money? Here's the thing. This is the exact question I get asked almost every single day. And the answer is never the same for everyone. I'm Krista, your local realtor, and in this video, I'm going to break it down honestly. What city living actually costs versus what suburban living actually gets you. So by the end, you can make this decision instead of guessing. Stay with me because there's one thing about the suburbs most buyers overlook completely, and it could change your entire strategy. The Atlanta real estate market in 2026 looks different than it did just a couple years ago. Interest rates have shifted, prices in certain pockets are still elevated, and your dollar buys in town versus and what your dollar buys in town versus 20 miles out has never been more different. Here's a quick baseline so we're working with real numbers. In Atlanta's in-town neighborhoods, think Old Fourth Ward, East Atlanta, Grant Park, Inman Park, the median home price hovers around $475,000 to $550,000. You're usually looking at a smaller square footage, a smaller lot, but you are in it. The restaurants, the nightlife, the culture. Now, you go 20, 30 miles out to the suburbs like Woodstock, Beaufort, Smyrna, or Douglasville, and that same budget could put you in a 2,500 square foot home with a garage, a backyard, and maybe even a new build with warranty still intact. So on paper, the suburbs definitely went on space, but the decision is never really just about square footage now, is it? So let's get specific because vague advice doesn't help you. In town Atlanta, what does $450,000 actually look like? So typically, we're looking like a 3-bed, 2-bath, somewhere in between 14 to 1,800 square feet, likely a 1960s to 1990s build. You may be on a smaller lot, sometimes no yard at all, or depending, sometimes a quarter acre. There's definitely a lot of variability. Walkability score, way higher. Or even if it's not super walkable, you're closer to things like the MARTA, which can definitely get you to a lot of the more entertainment venues and things like that fairly easily. There's a lot of development close now to MARTA stations in terms of entertainment districts. So that's a lot of really good stuff that's happening in town. Your commute to downtown or midtown, 15 minutes or less. I mean, amazing that way. And HOA, quite possibly not, because you're not getting as much new construction within the city. Now, the property taxes and insurance are probably going to be higher than you think. Atlanta suburbs, what does $450,000 look like there? So if we're looking at a place like Canton, Ackworth, or Snellville, you're looking at 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. Newer construction in many cases, which means modern finishes, better energy efficiency, and fewer surprise repairs in year one. Now, your commute to Atlanta, it's going to be a little trickier. 35 to 55 minutes, depending on where you're going and when. And the commute, I feel like, is where most people get tripped up because they calculate the commute in miles, not in time and money. 35 miles can be 45 minutes at 7 a.m. It can also be 90 minutes on a bad day. And that adds up, right? In gas, in tolls, in time with your family. So here's the honest truth. If you're in the office 5 days a week, the commute math matters more than the square footage. But if you're remote or hybrid, the suburbs math starts looking really, really good. So here's what the listings don't tell you. In-town Atlanta has an energy. So if you're looking for that kind of energy, maybe you don't have kids yet or don't plan on having any, and you love being able to walk to dinner, hit up a concert, and feel the energy and the pulse of the city, in-town's going to feel like home immediately. The Beltline alone is a lifestyle feature that a lot of buyers don't fully appreciate until they're living next to it. You've got farmers markets, local breweries, community events, like everything's literally right there. But then maybe your life is different, and maybe kids are going to enter the picture for you. Maybe you want a backyard for a dog, and maybe you do want a driveway. In-town can start to feel tight if that's not what is available to you. I've had clients who bought in town in their early 30s and were calling me 5 years later, ready to make a move to the suburbs. The suburbs, on the other hand, offer something different. Its community is a more traditional sense. You could have block parties, school networks, space to breathe. And many suburbs around Atlanta, so you're looking at Roswell, Alpharetta, Marietta, have really invested very heavily in their downtown areas. So the culture concern is less and less valid than it was even 5 years ago. What I always tell my relocation buyers, and I'll share a specific framework for this in a second, is that you can't just look at a neighborhood on a map. You have to spend time in it before you commit. I mean, real time, not just a Sunday afternoon drive-through. And this is the thing I mentioned at the top. The one thing most buyers skip, my relocation buyers, I'm talking to you. And it's the reason some buyers end up with what people call buyer's remorse by month 6. I like to call it dating the neighborhood before you commit. When you're seriously considering a home in the city or the suburbs, I want you to do this. And this is for my relocation people. Visit the neighborhood on a weekday morning. Visit it on Friday night. Sit in the traffic pattern during rush hour. Walk to the nearest coffee shop. Talk to someone walking their dog. Eat at a local restaurant. Look at what's being built nearby. Is it apartments, new retail? That kind of gives you an idea of what's coming, right? Because the house is just the house. The neighborhood, that's your life. And I have buyers who didn't do this and moved into a perfectly nice in-town neighborhood only to discover that the bar 2 blocks away becomes a parking nightmare every weekend. I have suburban buyers who didn't drive the commute during actual rush hour and were really blindsided by the reality. The date in the neighborhood concept or framework is something I had actually built as a part of my Atlanta home buyer blueprint. It's a free guide that I put together specifically for people relocating to Atlanta, and I'll link it to you below. It walks you through exactly what to look for, what questions to ask, and how to even evaluate a neighborhood before you make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. It's free. Grab it. Let me give you a quick decision framework now so you can start narrowing this down for yourself. You're probably an in-town buyer if you work in Midtown or downtown or Buckhead and commute most days. You don't have kids yet or your kids are grown. Walkability and nightlife are part of your identity. You value appreciation in an up-and-coming neighborhood. Your budget is anywhere from $350 to $500K, and you'd rather have location over size. Now, you're probably a suburban buyer if you work remotely or have a hybrid schedule or work for a company that's not located city center. You have kids or planning on having them pretty soon, so space, yard, garage, bedrooms matters to your daily quality of life. You're a first-time buyer who's interested in maximizing what your budget gets you, and you're relocating from another city and want a lower stress transition. Now, here's what I want you to notice. The decision isn't really city versus suburbs. It's about which version of your life you are designing, and that's a conversation worth having with someone who knows both sides intimately. Here's a bonus consideration, especially if you're relocating and not 100% sure where you want to land long-term. This is a strategy I walk some of my relocation clients through called midterm rental before they buy. Instead of committing immediately to a city or suburb, they rent month to month in a furnished midterm rental, sometimes 3 to 6 months in the specific area they're considering. This does something powerful. It lets you live the commute, live the neighborhood, live the lifestyle before you spend $400,000 on a decision you made from another state. I've had clients from New York, California, Texas use this exact approach, and almost every single one of them ended up buying in a neighborhood they didn't originally expect because the reality of living there changed the criteria. So if you're relocating to Atlanta, this might be the smartest first move to make, and it's something I can help you think through, whether you're 6 months out or 60 days out. So, city or suburbs? The honest answer is it really depends on you. But what I can tell you is that the buyers who make the best decision are the ones who get real information from someone who actually lives and works in this market, not just a map and a Zillow listing. Whether in town or in the suburbs, I want to have that conversation with you, a real conversation about your timeline, your priorities, and what actually is available in your budget right now. You can call me, text me, or email me. All my info is linked below. And don't forget to grab the Atlanta Homebuyer Blueprint, completely free, and will give you a real head start on the process. If this helped you think through the decision at all, give the video a thumbs up. It really does help people find it. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button so you don't miss the neighborhood by neighborhood breakdowns that I drop on a regular basis. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.